Okay, good afternoon, parents. We're so glad that you could join us for our first ever second grade curriculum webinar. Just to give a little background on why we are doing this format, I am very well aware that we have a fair number of parents who don't have a lot of time necessarily or flexibility in their schedule to physically be on site with us, but we feel like the information that you're going to learn today is exceptionally important. So we're truly trying to meet our parents where they are, and if that means you are at home or you are in an office or you're in your car, you're at the airport, if you're out of town, this is a way you can still be with us to gather this information and be able to ask questions about second grade and second semester. So a few little housekeeping. We will take questions at the end of the webinar. So I'm going to turn it over in just a second to Ms. Masola to kind of walk you through how to submit a question. I will be moderating the questions and putting them to the second grade team. During the presentation, if you do have a question, feel free to go ahead and submit it via the chat screen. I will keep tabs of questions that are coming in, but know that I'm going to hold them until the end of the presentation. So I am actually going to turn it over to Ms. Masola right now to walk you through that process.
Hey guys, this is Ms. Kinshasa Masola. Just going to go over real quick on how you add a question. Dr. Mack will be monitoring all the questions in the chat box, but if you are on your iPad, what you're going to do is tap on your screen and you should see a toolbar on the top. And if you look to the right-hand side, you should see a speech bubble. Click that speech bubble and your chat will open up just like this. If you're on a desktop, simply move your mouse and that black toolbar will pop up from the bottom. Right in the center, you should see a chat or a speech bubble icon. And once you click that, your toolbar will look just like that. Remember, anything you put into the chat box, everybody will be able to see. And don't worry, we'll monitor it and answer all questions toward the end. Back to you, Dr. Mack.
All right, thank you, Kinshasa. So we're about to jump right into our presentation with the second grade team. But before we do that, I do want to let you know who is in the room. Ms. Green, Mrs. Thompson, and Ms. Steiner are here, as well as Ms. Masola. Mr. Nama typically is in here with us, but he is teaching a class, so he is monitoring remotely for us, just to make sure that things are coming through clearly for all of you. So I do want to say thank you to everyone in the room for making this possible, and to ask from the parents if you will give us a little grace for our first webinar, as this is new for the teachers. I'm actually on my third one now, so I'm going to turn it over to the team.
Hi, this is Ms. Green. We're so excited to be sharing with you guys some new changes for second semester. And I want to go ahead and just start with the Journeys curriculum. Not many changes. We still have our comprehension tests based on the Journeys lesson from that particular week, except obviously not on our benchmark weeks. That's when we take a break of our story. But when we do have our comprehension tests, we will also continue to have our vocabulary tests, which we also would love to note that there is that grammar component in the vocab test. So whatever you do in the classroom, as far as grammar goes, whether that's suffixes or proper nouns, those concepts will often be on the vocab test. But the big difference with second semester is that we will no longer be reading the test to them. And this is really exciting for them because I think that they feel that sense of, maturity and independence, which we really love, and that kind of helps with the transition to third grade. However, oftentimes we see in the beginning when this happens, that transition creates some anxiety, and maybe the test scores might look a little bit different than you're used to, but rest assured this will change as the semester progresses, and they'll continue to gain confidence as well as perform where we know they can. Talking more in depth about where we're going in Journeys, we're moving away from informative text and we're moving more towards more diverse genres like biographies, which the kids are thrilled about. I'm sure you've heard all about Helen Keller, but we're really excited. We just wanted to note that we will no longer be reading the test questions or answers to them. Of course, if they have questions, they can raise their hand and ask us, and we're more than happy to help. But that's really the biggest changes for Journeys.
Hi, this is Julie Thomason, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the writing expectations for second semester. We will be getting a little bit more strict as of now, all the students have learned the new rules and expectations for capitalization, punctuation, handwriting without tears that we've been working on all year. So we will be starting to count off if they don't incorporate all these aspects that we have gone over so many times. If they bring homework, please go over it with them and make sure that they have sparkly sentences. You can see down there, which just means we've learned about compound sentences. We've learned how to add details. We really want them to be practicing these skills in their classwork, their homework, their test scores, anything that we are incorporating writing, as Ms. Green says, to really prepare them for third grade and that jump. So just letting you know, we will be counting off on things like that. And so just work with them at home if you see any writing work coming home with them.
Hey, this is Lauren Steiner. I'm going to be talking to you about the last two book reports of the school year. The next book report, as you are all aware, is due on Wednesday, January 24th. The genre may not be one that you've heard of before. It's called Windows and Mirrors. And we got this from the People of Color Conference. And basically, the genre is you look through a window so you can see how someone else's life may be. And you look into a mirror reflecting who you are. So we thought it would be fun to do a fill a bag. And what we're going to be asking during the presentation is simply, can you compare how you are the same? Can you compare how you are different than the situation or the character in the story? The final book report is due Wednesday, May 9th. Now, we actually have a benchmark test in between those two book reports, but it falls on the week when we return from spring break. And I don't know about you, but I don't really think it's cool to make parents do book reports with their children on spring break. So, you're welcome. Wednesday, May 9th is fiction, and this is probably the children's most favorite book report. It is a detailed one, and you'll want to take a close look at the rubric. It's the cereal box book report, and there are multiple ways that you can present this type of book report. You can even go to YouTube or even Pinterest and type in Windows and Mirrors or cereal box book report, because they have the opportunity to present it as though it were a commercial if they want to. But this is one where we are looking at presentation in addition to the actual cereal box. For the book reports, as we're heading on into the end of the year in May, we're looking for the children to really take ownership, to really pace themselves, and we would love if you would simply guide them, like go over the rubric with them, and then oversee their work, which doesn't mean obviously that you're doing it for them, but just ask them to read it back to you and ask if they see any errors that may need to be changed. So it should be work that we can tell is done by the second grader. And of course, if you want to jump in and give them a little help, we totally are okay with that.
All right, we're going to move on to Brain Boost in spelling. A reminder that we're going to continue with the spelling tests on Fridays, which the structure will be the same, 10 words, 4 sight words, 2 dictation sentences, and 1 visual memory. I'm sure you guys are so excited that the test scores have come back much better than they were in the beginning of the year, which shows how far they've come, especially with the dictation and visual memory. But we just want to give you a little bit of a reminder about the studying the phonics rule and skill as opposed to the spelling words that we give you every week. We note on the spelling list that these are just merely suggestions as they follow the rules, but the way we know that the students are, at mastery level is if they are able to apply that rule to words that they haven't been seen before. So it's really important that when you're at home and practicing with your child that you're not just focusing on the spelling suggestions, so the spelling words that we provide, but also going outside of that box. I also think it's important to note that despite following the HD word curriculum, that we'll be circling back to skills that we notice have not been mastered. One example of those is vowel teams, and I think that this will be just another layer that will be really nice for them to take into third grade. Another reminder is, of course, spelling tests are cumulative, so I'm sure you've seen on the spelling tests words that were from previous weeks, or a skill that was from a previous week. These will continue to be cumulative. Students will also be expected to spell learned words correctly in classwork and homework. This is a new expectation, so we'll be looking for that in their weekly journals and any type of classwork writing. But we also would love your support at home when checking their work to encourage your child to spell, words that they have learned correctly the first time. Otherwise, I think that we will be making them look it over again and try it again. So.
All right, I'm going to talk about social studies. As we've mentioned before, we do not do social studies every week. There's just not enough time in our schedule. So the way we've kind of allowed us to fit everything in is we do social studies every few weeks on our benchmark week when we don't do our journeys story or our phonics or spelling words. And this allows us to have more time to really dig in and focus and spend more time on it, do some fun activities with it, and really dive in deeper. We do want to remind you that you won't see these grades on the report card. We don't grade social studies yet. They will start to be graded in third grade. So this is kind of preparing them and getting used to the social studies curriculum, but we don't want to quite grade them yet. And listed up on the board, you will see some upcoming topics we'll be covering the next few months, just if you are curious. And just so you know, our next benchmark week will be January 22nd, so that's when we'll be working on social studies next.
Okay, we're going to hop on over to math. As you can see up at the top, we really, really, really want your child to be practicing his or her math facts. Okay, so you can do this in a number of ways. We did send home the addition subtraction flashcards that are part of the second grade curriculum at the beginning of the school year. And then, of course, if you have older children here at SMES, they probably have a set as well. So everyone can play along at home. If your child is not into the flashcards, like I know I wasn't when I was in first and second grade, take them to a computer or an iPad game. The whole point is to know them quickly. And if I'm doing 15 minus 7 equals 8 and they can't quite get that difference yet, then say 7 plus what equals 15, and then work your way into the subtraction. But we do need them to know and master these, because as the year progresses, the chapters do get a bit harder and we do move at a quicker pace. And the children that do know their math facts are moving right along, and the ones that don't are really falling behind. And we just don't want to see that happen. Toward the end of the year, probably a week and a half before we get out for summer vacation, we will be sending some addition subtraction time test worksheets home in the homework packet so that you can practice with your child. You can put the timer on in the kitchen, say go, and they can flip it over, and then you can grade it accordingly. That will give you a really good idea as to where they are and where you'd like them to be. And then, of course, we don't just give one time test. We give multiple tests, because a few of them get really nervous at the beginning, and, we're going to throw some grades out because we need to show them some grace. At this point in the school year, we are doing 2-digit addition and subtraction with regrouping. Next chapter, I'm on chapter 5 right now, and these ladies are starting chapter 5 soon. After chapter 5, chapter 6 is addition, subtraction, merged together. And chapter 7 will deal with money and time. So it really is building, the chapters are building on each other and spiraling, if you will. So Go Math, this should be, for those of you that are returners to SMES, your second year. So I hope you're not more of a go away math kind of person, because we love Go Math. There are so many components on this new program that we're still learning about. What we do know that we like is once you log in, there are actually games that you can take your child to, so they can pretty much have supplements and can practice what we taught them. For my class, I do copy the page that has the QR code. So you should be able to scan the QR code with an app. It's free. And the video pops up explaining the lesson, because we know you're at home cooking dinner, juggling children, and if you don't have the teaching edition book in front of you, we know you're a little bit stumped sometimes. We would be too. So hopefully that QR code can help you. And just remember, you can always log in and pull those videos up as well. And I just wanted to say, as far as the grading breakdown goes, all three of us are doing the exact same weight, the percentages for grades. For instance, lessons that we teach each day, those are classwork lessons. Mid-chapter checkpoints, we're counting those as quizzes. And of course, at the end of every chapter is the test. So we're all putting those in at the same exact percentage. However, you are dealing with three different people who have different children in their class. So there may be a few grading differences, but for the most part, we are all doing the exact same thing.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about homework online, because I know there were some whisperings around back to school night last semester about, you know, the excitement over having homework assigned online. While it sounds really nice for second graders to do that, we're not going to be doing it this semester, and I'll tell you why. Adding and subtracting double-digit numbers is very difficult to show online. And we believe that students need a pen and a paper, pencil and paper to show that tactile skill. So we will not be assigning any homework online, much to, I think, a few people's dismay. So we're sorry about that. But you can still utilize a QR code as an additional resource, like Ms. Steiner said. Also, Go Math has a lot of different resources that you can use when going over your homework with your child. If you have any interest in pursuing math online in any other regard, please contact your teacher by email. We would be more than happy to give you additional resources, iPad games, websites, etc. Because we know, iPads are kind of what hooks some students. So if you have any interest in working online with math, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. But we want to reiterate that we will not be assigning any online homework.
So this is Ms. Msola over here. I just want to make sure everybody knows how to log in to Go Math. So here is the home page. When logging into Go Math, you'll see the default page looks like this. And I just want to make sure everybody knows that, I'm sure you know where your country is, but make sure you have United States, Georgia, and for the district private school. That's sometimes why we mess up. If you don't press private school, then St. Martin's doesn't come up on the drop down. Also, clicking on Remember My School right there in the middle is the best. So you only have to do that once, maybe twice. Your computer will remember it, and then you shouldn't have to do that again. Everybody should have logins from the beginning of the year from each teacher, and that's where your student logs in. And once they log into their account, you should see their student homepage. And here is where you can access all the wonderful resources that Mrs. Steiner was just talking about.
Stay on the screen, everyone. This is Dr. Mack. One of the things that really impressed us about Go Math is the robust online support and the access that you have as parents to things at home. Now, even though we won't be assigning things online, please make use of the resources you have here on the page. I know that Ms. Steiner talked about the QR code that is often on the work pages that come home. You can also access those same videos by logging in here. There's the My Personal Coach where you can go and actually do practice over and over again. There is a game section here, so if your child really likes games, that's a great way to reinforce the math skills. There's also an interactive student edition that's a part of this. So if your child gets home and is missing a page that they should be doing for homework, you can actually log in to Go Math and go to that interactive edition, and you can actually print out the page for them. So it's kind of a lifesaver for your child if they come home without a math sheet. If you have any questions about that or the math online, please reach out to the teachers, reach out to Ms. Masoli, reach out to me too, and I will probably go to them because I know just enough to be dangerous with this, but we hope you will make use of this. If you have problems accessing Go Math and you don't remember what your child's username and password is, please reach out to your child's teacher and they will be happy to email that information to you again.
All right, we already kind of touched on this, but I'm going to review it just a little bit so you know about the time test. As we said, the students need to be practicing their addition and subtraction facts at home often. It's not only helpful for the Go Math lessons that are coming up, but it's also very helpful because they will be tested in May for a timed test. It will be a test grade and it will appear on their second semester report card. So just reiterating the fact that they really do need to be practicing those facts in any form or shape or fashion. That's going to be one of the most important things that they can do at home.
And I also just wanted to bring up, because I have tutored children that have left my classroom and already started third grade, they jump into multiplication and division immediately. So if your child doesn't understand the concept of addition and subtraction, or if they don't have their facts memorized, that's going to be an incredibly difficult part of third grade for them, and we just don't want that to happen. Okay, meeting the needs of our learners. Know that you can always go to your child's teacher's webpage. We do update them regularly with curriculum and academic information, what we're doing and when a test might be coming up, what important dates and all the fun stuff like field trips are coming up. And you know, each page may be slightly different because every class has their own special needs. So your child's page may be different than another teacher's, and that's okay. Feel free to look at all of them, but as a whole, we work together as a team for the most part.
Lunch, the best subject of the day. Students are thrilled because they feel like they've been released. They can now sit together at lunch with any of their friends, which started Tuesday and has, as you can imagine, been a great success. But we just really want to reiterate that if you're visiting, this is kind of more important, but once students are seated with their food, drinks, and silverware, they must remain seated. This just is a safety issue, and we don't really want them to be saving seats. So that's just the biggest reminder as far as lunchroom rules, but I know that I'm sure you'll be hearing at home about how they got to sit with, their buddy from a different class, so we're all really excited about that, and that's just, further giving them more responsibility they will see next year.
And I'm going to jump in with lunch as well. Just a reminder that we do have, and thinking to the parent reps for each class for managing these Sign Up Genius pages, so we do have those pages for you to sign up to be able to eat lunch with your child on a designated day for that classroom. We do ask you to adhere to that because second grade is planned at the time where it's the one time during the elementary school block of lunch that we have 3 grade levels in there one time, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th. It is full, it is loud, and it can seem a little crazy. So it is really important that if you have a special occasion or there's someone in town that you weren't planning on, if you want to request someone to come and eat lunch or for you to come to eat lunch on a day that is not regularly assigned for your child's class, or there's someone that's already registered for that class, for that lunch spot, please email me, because what I will do is I will check and make sure that we have enough space to accommodate additional visitors. That's really important, particularly for that lunch block, because we are full during that lunch block, because we have three grade levels in there at one time. In addition, I can't stress the importance of allowing our students to sit and eat, because they have a 30-minute lunch period, but by the time they stand in line, get all the things they want to get, find a seat, sit down, and have some social time, it really boils down to about 15 to 20 minutes that they truly have to focus on eating. So I do ask that when you do come to lunch, that you're adhering to those policies in the lunchroom. And if you have a device or a phone with you, if you would keep it in your pocket, because when it comes out and you're taking pictures and you're playing games and things like that on the phone, it distracts the students from being able to truly eat their lunch during that time period, and that's really what we want them focused on.
All right, field trips. I know a lot of parents have been curious and asking about our field trips for the next couple weeks and months. Our closest one coming up is going to be next Thursday on the 18th, and it's an in-house field trip. High Touch, High Tech will be coming to each one of the second grade classrooms to do some science experiments and some manipulatives and really get their hands on in science. The kids are very excited about it. We are excited about it as well. So no need to bring anything extra or worry about them traveling. That will be an in-house field trip. We will also have World Cultures Day. It will be on February 5th. That's the next one coming up. That's also in-house or at school. That's fun for the teachers and the kids. We get to kind of travel around the school into different classrooms to learn about different cultures throughout the world. And you can find more information by referencing the Weekly Warrior for that particular day. Also in February, we'll have Alvin Ailey. We get to travel to the Fox, which we are all really excited about. That's going to be a really fun, special day. Ms. Steiner's probably the most excited about it. So we're really looking forward to that. That's a new field trip this year, so we'll make sure to take lots of pictures for everybody to see. And then our last field trip will be the aquarium. That won't be till April, so we will give you more information once we get closer to the time about that.
I just wanted to give a quick reminder about weather and uniforms. So this week is a little bit different than last week, as you can imagine. A little confusing, but we're no longer in the 19-degree zone.
Back to cold.
Right. So as we continue to flip-flop, please remember to have your child bring appropriate clothes and clothing. Also, when they're bringing all of these different items like hats, gloves, scarves, I've seen it all, earmuffs, please label these items for your child. With so many students and changing for PE, oftentimes things get lost in the commotion of everything. And in order for you to keep the clothing and your child to keep the clothing, it's helpful for us as teachers if we're trying to hunt something down if it has your name in it. So just please make sure that you label the clothing. That's already saved us, I think, a few times last week. But as the, the one other reminder that we did want to say is, especially for my class, and I think Ms. Steiner's class, PE. Oftentimes, if the kids come in and have to change into their PE clothes, we don't make them change back before carpool. However, because it's been so cold recently, whenever it's, inclement weather, we will be making them change back into their uniform, back into their warm clothes before they go back to carpool. So if you're wondering why they maybe have done a few different changes throughout the day, rest assured it's for their own safety and making sure that they stay warm. But we will be changing a few times just before carpool when it's cold. That will change as it gets warmer, and obviously that didn't happen this week because we all know the weather. So.
We just wanted to let you be aware of what's coming up regarding conferences. Sign Up Genius will go live next Thursday on January 18th at 4 p.m. So make sure you have that on your calendar so you can sign up for the correct time that you prefer. Conference day will be February 9th, so we give you a couple weeks so that you can really fit that into your schedule, and we will give you more information as that comes closer to the time.
Okay. All right. So here we are to the question time, and this is the portion that I'm going to be moderating for everyone. Just a reminder that the way you submit questions is through your chat option on your device. Ms. Masola went through that at the beginning of the webinar. So hopefully some of you may have a few questions based on the information that you heard, or if there's something you didn't hear that you have a question about, we would love for you to submit it now.
Just in case you may be typing, we can't see you typing. So, oh, looks like we have our first question already. Oh, no, it didn't.
All right, so parents, we are actually going to wrap up the webinar. We do greatly appreciate you joining us today, and we would love feedback on the format. As I shared at the beginning in the intro, we are trying different things to make sure that we're meeting you where you are, because we know that you are exceptionally busy, and it can be very difficult for you to physically come on site here at school. But we feel like this information. Oh. We have a question, everyone. Fabulous. Right, so question is, should we cancel lunch visitor, etc., for the in-school field trip days?
Oh, that is a good question.
That's a great question. We will still be going to lunch
at the same time.
At the same time, it would be Alvin Ailey will probably be eating lunch in the classroom, possibly. So that's a great.
Okay, that is an awesome question. I'll tell you what, I'm going to ask the teachers to go back and look at what the timing would be for lunch on those field trip days, and they will reach out directly to their parent reps for the class, so that if you do need to make adjustments on the sign-ups for lunch, you can do that. So parent reps, you'll be getting that information as soon as they have a chance to sit down and look at that. Great question. So we have another question. This is awesome. Y'all are making me so happy. Okay. Are there long pants that can be ordered for PE? That's probably a question for me. I cannot find on Land's End, and the uniform store closed. Yes. Parker went out of business. They closed their doors. That went out in Weekly Warrior. We accidentally stumbled upon that information last Friday afternoon. Parker did not make us aware that they were closing. So I wish I could say I was surprised, but I'm not. You know, Land's End did have a track version of the pants. So let me go in and look at our Land's End uniform options and double check that for you, and I will actually email you back about that information. I sent an email to the elementary school faculty earlier this week, making them aware that Parker unfortunately had gone out of business. We are in a position that a lot of schools who had Parker as their only uniform vendor. It's unique that we had two vendors, which actually is kind of saving us a little bit at this point. So I will check on the option with Land's End and get back with you via email, and I'll ask the teachers to send this out as an announcement as well to everyone, so everyone will get this information. But any of your uniform items that you have between now and the end of the school year, Land's End is your stop, or the PTO is going to be collecting more uniforms in the next 2 weeks, and they will be doing a used uniform sale to help bolster any uniform needs that you might have. Just got a chat back that another parent said they were able to purchase long track pants at Land's End. So the other parent who can't seem to find them, I will go on the website and see if I can find the link and send it directly to you. So it'll make it, hopefully that'll make it a little bit easier. Okay. All right, any other questions? See, we gave you guys a little bit of time to start thinking of stuff. This is awesome.
I would like, I have a question for the parents out there. I would like to know how you enjoyed this new session of curriculum webinars. If you don't mind throwing a little comment into the chat box to say whether you like it or you did it, or give us some good feedback.
Somebody just said they loved it. It's awesome. On one of the first webinar we did for third grade back in November, there was one parent said, please don't get rid of face-to-face. And we are absolutely not going to get rid of face-to-face. It's just a part of our culture. So what we will still do back to school nights face-to-face, but I think we will be using webinars a little bit more just to make sure that we're getting you information in a timely manner that works for you, really. It makes it a little bit easier on your schedule because we know that you are very, very busy. There was someone who said it's much easier for working parents to be able to join, and that's really, we're wanting to make sure that you feel like you can be a part of our community in whatever way possible. So. All right, we are going to wrap it up today. Thank you guys for joining us. This is being recorded.
We actually have another question, Dr. Mack.
All right, give me just a second. I'll answer that or pass it on to the teachers. I want to let everyone know that this is being recorded. Once our tech team has the time to get it out of this format, move it up into YouTube, and they send me the link, then I will upload it to the elementary school parent page and send out an announcement letting you know that it is available. And if you know someone who wasn't able to join us today, please let them know it will be available there. And any follow-up questions once we actually do sign off, please don't hesitate to follow up with the teachers, with Ms. Masola, with me. We are so happy to clarify or answer any questions for you. So speaking of questions, here we go. If they do their math work on a separate piece of paper for more room, should we send in that paper with their homework?
Please.
Yes,
I would love to
please
see
do
that.
that.
The one thing that we did not talk about with Go Math, which thank you for asking that question, is we want to talk about showing their work. Students are now expected to show their work, so that's a great example of doing so, not only in their classwork, on their tests, but also in their homework. So we really are appreciative of you letting them use extra paper. And definitely please bring it in. Any work that they do, just send it on in.
And here is one suggestion, or at least a comment. I could have used a 10-minute beforehand reminder before the webinar. Mm-hmm. That actually, I don't believe is built into this system because this isn't something that would automatically connect to your Google Calendar, Outlook Calendar. My suggestion for that, and this is what I do just for my crazy days, is that when I'm taking part in webinars, I typically will book it on my calendar and do a 10-minute reminder or a 5-minute reminder or a 15-minute reminder. So that would be my recommendation to at least work around what this system doesn't have built into it. But I totally feel you with that.
Great idea.
My Apple Watch and my phone and my computer are constantly beeping at me to let me know I have to be somewhere in 10 minutes. So. Right. And thank you guys. Have a great Friday, a great long weekend, and we'll see all of you back here on Tuesday. And I want to say thank you to the second grade team. You were fabulous. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.